second. Garion, shh, go to mobile. All right. Well, I believe we're going. It's been 15 seconds, so again, Ed is still taking his vacation, which is okay, but that means I've got to flounder around, which it's not really floundering, but I get to do another short show with everybody, and this time we've got some actual callers in here. So I actually get to do something with the callers. What we're going to do is first, we're going to start out with a really simple clip that we've played before, but we will play it again and we will see how things go on that. Let me see, where is it? Sorry, I got slightly distracted on a few things. Hold on a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some definitions. As you guys have seen in the YouTube in the past, I have done definitions in the past, but in the background. Today we're going to go over a couple of things. One is petition, and the other is protest, and see what those are really about. But this is the one I wanted to play, so we'll play that real quick.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Inspector Coleman, you're the Inspector General for the Federal Reserve, right? Okay.
That's correct.
Have you done any investigations concerning the Federal Reserve's role in deciding not to save Lehman Brothers, which led to shockwaves that went through the entire financial system?
In that particular area, you know, I don't generally comment on specific investigations, but we do not currently have an investigation in that particular area.
All right. What about the $1 trillion plus in expansion of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet since last September? Have you conducted any investigations regarding that?
Right now we have a, we call it a review, and so I don't know if the term investigation may have different connotations. So we're actually conducting a fairly high-level review of the various lending facilities collectively, which would include, you know, the TALF, a variety of the different programs that are in process. So we're looking at them at a fairly high level to identify risk.
Well, I understand that, but we're talking about events that started unfolding 8 months ago. Have you reached any conclusions about the Fed expanding its balance sheet by over $1 trillion since last September?
We have not yet reached any conclusions.
Do you know who received that money?
For the, we're in the process right now of doing our review, and
Right, but you're the Inspector General. My question to you specifically is, do you know who received that $1 trillion plus that the Fed extended and put on its balance sheet since last September? Do you know the identity of the recipients?
I do not know. We have not looked at that specific area at this particular point on those reviews.
What about Bloomberg's report that there are trillions of dollars in off-balance sheets transactions that the Federal Reserve has entered into since last September? Are you familiar with those off-balance sheet transactions?
You know, I think it may be important at this point, too, just to bring up a certain aspect related to our jurisdiction. And just to clarify perhaps some of my earlier comments, we are the Inspector General for the Board of Governors, and we have direct oversight over board programs and operations, and are also able to look at board-delegated functions to the reserve banks, as well as the board's oversight and supervision of the reserve banks. We do not have jurisdiction to directly go out and audit reserve bank activities specifically. Nevertheless, in our lending facilities project, for example, we are looking at the board's oversight over the program, and to the extent that extends out to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
Well, I have a copy of the Inspector General Act here in front of me, and it says, among other things, that it's your responsibility to conduct and supervise audits and investigations relating to the programs and operations of your agency.
That's correct.
So I'm asking you if your agency has, in fact, according to Bloomberg, extended $9 trillion in credit, which, by the way, works out to $30,000 for every single man, woman, and child in this country. I'd like to know, if you're not responsible for investigating that, who is?
We have responsibility for the Federal Reserve's programs and operations, audits, to conduct audits and investigations in that area. In terms of who's responsible for investigating, would you mind repeating the question one more time?
What have you done to investigate the off-balance sheet transactions conducted by the Federal Reserve, which, according to Bloomberg, now total $9 trillion in the last 8 months?
I'll have to look specifically at that Bloomberg article. I'm not...
Okay, right there, I just wanted to, right there, he just said $9 trillion. I mean, if we lost $9,000, where the government couldn't, or the federal side of the government couldn't touch it, couldn't find it, and we just said, I don't know where it went, it just disappeared, you would bet we'd be audited and attacked like crazy. So I'm going to open up the floor, and let's see.
All participants are unmuted.
If anybody's got any suggestions on that. Somebody muted themselves, thank you, if you did not want to speak. So, anybody got any words on that? If we lost like 9,000, or we kept 9,000 away from the tax books and or from the records, you'd bet that the federal side of the government would be going berserk over it, right?
I don't care if we lost 9 cents, they would go berserk.
Right, but 9 trillion? Oh, well, I'm not sure where it is, and we haven't heard anything beyond that, have we?
The funny thing is, she can't even answer the question, let alone even turn around and tell us who exactly is responsible for doing the audit. I mean...
That's because they don't want to admit that they are screwed up. I'm trying not to cuss here. I'm really good at cussing usually. But they don't want to admit that it's basically they're completely crossed wires and they don't have a effective system. Everybody's hands in the pot kind of thing.
Yeah, but then as it stands, that would be considered fraud. I mean, that's exactly what it falls under. I mean, if she can't explain what happened to $9 trillion, then that's fraud. And if she can't explain where the audits are, that's fraud. I mean, what exactly are they getting paid for?
Well, technically, they're supposed to only be paid by dealing with legal immigrants and public servants, public and elected servants. They're not supposed to be dealing with us, lawful bloodline Americans, at all, those who are 5th generation or more. And yet the fraud is that they told us we should get into that tax system to help out the country, and basically then they'll go after you for everything you own if you decide to stand up. Now, speaking of standing up, I'm going to switch over the YouTube video real quick so that people can see, the listeners can see. For one of the ways to stand up or change what the federal side of the government is saying or is doing, a lot of people out there say, petition it, get a petition signed, get 30,000 signatures on a petition. One, we all know signature is dead man hand, so where's the power in that? Two, here's the definition of a petition. A petition is a request to do something, most commonly addressed to a government official or public entity. petitions to a deity are a form of prayer called supplication. Now, let me ask you, how about you, David? You're just flat out. You work, right? You've got a job. Or if you don't, it doesn't matter. The thing is, if you've got a boss, does the boss ask you to do something?
Yes.
No. Does the boss ask you permission or ask you to do?
No.
Right, exactly. That's what I was trying to get at. We, the American, lawful bloodline Americans, we, the people, as it is on the Constitution, flat out are the first branch of government, the ultimate branch of government. We are the bosses. They are our public servants. Actually, I'll even look at the definition of public servant real quick. But what do you think about that, David?
Well, if we are the boss of them, then we shouldn't have to write a petition. And if also we are the boss, then all these government entities are not exactly doing what we have asked them to do, which is to represent us correctly without all this other crap that they're doing.
No. So even my son doesn't like that. No, he's going in areas he's not supposed to. Get back. But, yeah, exactly. They think they are the bosses, and it's not true. We are the bosses, because right here on YouTube, right here, definition of a public servant. It's off of the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. A government official or employee. Well, are you an official or an employee of the people, David?
No.
But your mayor, your judge, your even Secretary of State, your the president of the supposed United States, they are a government official or a government employee, right?
Yes. And if since they're supposedly not doing what I ask, and I can't exactly fire them, I only vote them out, then I think I should turn around and say that they need a steep, what do you call it, a big reduce in their paycheck.
Yeah, I'd say $40,000 a year is about right.
I would say 95% of the patients are not there.
No, if they really want to represent the public, I think more like 10 or 20,000 until they can start paying off this deficit that they've gotten us into.
But Rod Class last night explained that if the bankers were doing their job, there would be no deficit. That's why you needed to listen last night, but that's okay. No, I'm saying they only get $40,000 a year each. That's it, $40,000 each. Yeah, I know, hon. You do about 20,000 or even 12,000, but still. Yeah, I agree. Lower their. This is just opinions, but as you can see on the YouTube, we have got the facts right here. That is the definition of public servant: a government official or employee. Now, the petition right here is a request to do something. Well, are we asking permission? No. So why do we do this petition? The reason, my opinion, which as Ed says a lot of times, opinions are like diapers and public servants. They need to be changed regularly. Of course, how do you tell the difference between a public servant and a diaper? I'm still trying to figure that one out myself. But
It speaks a lot less?
What?
The diaper stinks a lot less than a politician?
Well, I do know they're both full of shit, so. Anyways, like I said, I cuss a lot. But here's the thing. My opinion is the reason they want you to do petition is so that they know what the public opinion is so they can change it. And it'll make those who really don't want to get up off their butts and do anything to actually feel like they're doing something. They feel good about themselves. It's a feel-good tactic. That's about it. Okay. Turn it up to 4 and... Sorry, I'm still cooking dinner.
And have your
Yeah.
slap the dogs on.
Yep. Okay, sorry about that. Because we're not supplicants. We are their bosses. Now, let's go to the protest. Not to be confused with demonstration protest. For other uses, see protest disambiguation. Protest, also called a remonstrance, demonstration. It's an expression of bearing witness on behalf of an express cause by words or actions with regard to particular events, policies, or situations. Protests can take many different forms, from individual statements to mass demonstrations. Protesters may organize a protest as a way of publicly making their opinions heard in an attempt to influence public opinion or government policy. Or they may undertake direct action in an attempt to directly enact desired changes themselves. Now, the thing is, I'm looking at protests. I'm a father. I have a 2-year-old son. When we tell him no, he protests, he cries, he whines, he complains. But does that change me? Change my opinion? Change what I want him to either stay away from or want him to do? No. So protesting the way that everybody else is, the march protests and stuff like that, is just a whole bunch of whiners yelling and screaming that their life sucks and they want things changed, but they're not willing to actually enact change at all. Your thoughts on that? Anybody? I gotta go check dinner.
I concur with what you're saying. To me, I think that when people stand up and protest, they're like millennials. They think they're entitled to something. They can't prove it. All they're doing is getting on a gerbil wheel and thinking they're making headway when they're actually going nowhere. To me, protesting or petitioning any of these people doesn't get anything done. It makes your voice heard, but exactly how much of it is heard if they're not doing anything? Now, take for instance, like the shooting that has happened, where these kids are now protesting and petitioning. They're wanting guns out of the assault rifles, which they even mistaken a .22 for an assault rifle, just by the way it looks. These people don't seem to realize what they're protesting for. To me, I think is just another reason to just cry and whine about something instead of actually learning the laws, knowing exactly the difference between legal and lawful, as that always says. Because people apparently, they think that 22,000 gun laws are laws to keep you, or to keep people from the guns getting in the criminals' hands, which actually doesn't prove anything. I mean, people are still getting their hands on guns. And plus, 22,000 gun laws just show the 22,000 ways they're infringing on your Second Amendment right. It's been proven time and time again that a person with a firearm actually does good. Now, they want to turn around and try to get this stuff out of our hands just because somebody wasn't there to protect them doesn't mean that they're right. The guns are not the problem. If the people would do some research and find out, just about every one of these people had mental issues. They were on, ambience and all this other stuff.
But
And
how
they're
do
the
you
ones.
how do you judge who's got a mental issue? I mean, if you look at it, those of us who are talking about this kind of stuff some would call us mental because we're not going with the status quo.
Yeah, but it's the people that are taking these drugs that are having mental issues. That's how you would judge. I mean, if you're on
like
that,
ADD?
I mean, that doesn't even exist. It never did exist.
Bingo, and some of these other mental issues don't exist. Sometimes those drugs themselves cause the huge imbalances in the erratic behavior.
Yeah, and I agree totally 100% on that, because the pharmaceuticals are not coming out being open or even honest. I mean, why do you think we have an opioid epidemic? It's not because people went out and said, "Oh, I'm going to go buy drugs." No, it's because the doctors gave it to us, and this is why the doctors are doing this, because they're getting kickbacks. Just like when they turn around and try to get an MRI or a CT scan or whatever, they're getting kickbacks. They don't care. Hey, we just got to run more tests. Why? You don't know what's wrong after the first time? That's why they keep sending us back to go do tests. In fact, down in Texas right now, there's a hospital in Clear Lake that was sending people to go get tested, but they sent them out to another company, and then they ran the bill back through the hospital and sent it to Aetna, and double or even triple charged them for the test. And then they found out that the hospital didn't run the test; they were sending them out to other places. But they're charging, and then there, that's.
It's all a big scam and fraud in itself. Oh, one of the things I wanted, it's on YouTube now, I looked at the thesaurus for what protest is. You'll never believe what the main thing is. Two of the main words. Complaint.
Demonstration?
No, complaint, disapproval. So I was right. They're whining, they're complaining. Protesting doesn't do you a damn thing. I mean, think about it.
Like I said, it's just like getting on a turbo wheel. You think you're making headway, and you're actually not going anywhere. You're just going in a circle.
A tantrum. My wife said, look up tantrum. I will in a moment. I'm going to look at petition real quick. Appeal or plea. That's basically asking. That's the other words that can be used for petition is appeal or plea. So, synonyms: application, prayer, request, suit, address, entreaty. I mean, there's a lot of words, but it basically is saying you're begging. Do we beg? Does the boss beg? No, they tell you, right?
Correct.
That's why they're the boss. That's why they're in charge, because they know things you don't, or they know things need to be a certain way, so they are in charge of making sure things go a certain way. Well, thing is, so many once the federal side of the government, also known as United States Incorporated Corporation, got in charge of the public schools and the public school system and made it all universal, basically, that's when they started changing everybody's opinions and viewpoints to the point of, hey, we control what they think, the way they're raised, and we control the children, so we control the future. That was their plan, and it worked. I mean, look at this. We got nothing but millennials everywhere. Thank you, Common Core, and actually even CPS, Child Protection Services. You can't spank your child. You can't tell your child no. That's a bad thing to do. Now, you bleep you. You bleeping bleep bleep bleep. Sorry, I go on a rant sometimes. Go ahead, keep going, David.
No, because we can't spank those children, and that even my dad told me that the what do you call it? Even in the military, you got to give them a what do you call it? They got a rest break from the DI, the drill instructor, and they even started handing them out cell phones. Now I heard a lot of soldiers complain, and even Marines complain that they had to wait to make their calls on a certain day. Here, these kids, they turn around and they get so upset they got to call home to mommy and daddy right away. Oh, it's not nice. It's a bad place. This is why America is up a foul-smelling tributary, no motor transportation or propulsion.
I heard that just heard. I don't have any proof of it, so if anybody's got any proof, let me know. That in basic training, if you're too stressed out, you can hold up a card to tell the drill sergeant to back down because you're stressing out too much.
I can confirm that. Yes.
They actually have that? Wow.
Yes,
the only thing
because
in basic training, when I was in basic training, was they couldn't physically touch you unless it's either to save your life or if you gave them permission. Other than that, they couldn't touch you. They could get like a quarter of an inch away from your face yelling at you, but they could not touch you. Unlike my son here, who is touching me like crazy right now. Yeah. Anyway. Wow. So basically we have nothing but whiny babies, millennials, and snowflakes being trained in the military and basically being taught in the schools now. I mean, what's this bully crap? Bullying? I grew up with bullies. In fact, even the fat kids and the nerds used to bully me. Just give you an idea how hard things were. But guess what? I'm using my brain. I'm learning things properly, and I'm not sitting here going, I deserve this. No, I don't deserve shit. What I do is I take what is rightfully mine.
Links, may I?
Go ahead.
Now, I was bullied in elementary school. I was beaten up by a kid smaller than me named Potato. And then when I got in junior high, I was bullied all through junior high and high school. And I had no friends, none. I mean, not even the goth people would even talk to me, not even the nerds. When I had lunch by myself. And then this went on for a long time. And then even after I got out of school, I still didn't have friends. Not because I'm a unsociable person. I like being around people. I like talking to them. It's just morons. I can't stand listening to them because then people talk all about games and everything else. To me, I'm like, seriously, that's not the most important thing in life. I mean, heck, I'm still, even at being at the age of 48, I'm still bullied. I've got the child support people telling me that I owe money because I'm a deadbeat father. And I'm like you, I'm not going to sit here and take it anymore. I am now sitting down, and I have looked, and under Title 42, it's non-positive law, and there is actually no state has a law to prove that any parent owes child support. There is no law to enforce it. So all these parents that are getting arrested and being put in jail are actually being kidnapped, and they don't even know it. They think, oh, well, it's because I didn't pay child support. Well, first of all, the judge is not a judge. It's a surrogate. That means they're a clerk. They're acting as a judge. They're not a judge. And then, as Ed has brought out before numerous times, those people held an illegal election and got put in that section, and now they're making judgment calls. And let's stop and think where they came from. Oh, yeah, they're also lawyers who are never licensed to practice law in the first place. So, and all they do is protect their buddies. So it's just a complete circle of corruption just going around and around and around. And we're sitting here just taking it. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why people are just, or they're waiting for the fecal matter to hit the rotating oscillator before they actually get up and do something.
Here's the thing, if you look at it this way. Think of your high school, when you were in high school. You got the popular kids, right? You got those who pretty much made the scene, showed people what the type of fashion was, what the right way to say words were, what kind of songs were really popular at that time. That's the popular kids, the A crowd, the in crowd, whatever you want to call them. Well, guess what? How many popular kids compared to how many regular, non-popular kids were there?
I don't know.
You probably, like in my school, my graduating class was 12. So let's just go off of 100. You've got approximately a tenth, or even a fifth of the kids in school that are popular kids. So why are they controlling so much? Because everybody else is allowing it. Now, look at the judges, the lawyers, the attorneys, the public servants, which I am switching over. Guess what? I found the thesaurus on public servant. Now, government employee or appointee, civil servant, elected official, office holder, public employee, public official. I mean, those are the synonyms of them. So these guys are our public servants, and yet they're trying to tell us what is the in crowd, what is the popular thing to do, because they're more charismatic. They're more, they got prettier hair, or they're really good at speaking. Or they've got a fake power called elected, where everybody else thinks, oh, well, they're elected, so they know what they're doing. Most of these public servants don't have an idea what they're doing. But as you were talking, civil servant, what is a policy officer called, or what police officer called?
Policy?
Yeah, I call it policy officer, but the police officers, the cops, they're called civil servants, if I'm not mistaken.
True.
So they're a public servant. Why are they running around? Like you were saying, people are getting arrested and thrown into jail for not doing child support, where there is no actual law for child support that I know of. Law. There's statute codes, administrative rules, and all that, but where is the law?
When I talk to the child support, they turn around and refer back to the federal law. But then the court that held my case didn't have any jurisdiction. So how can they enforce something that they have no jurisdiction?
Oh, there you go.
Wouldn't you have to go to federal court for them to apply the federal code?
I think the lower courts are supposed to uphold the federal side too. but I don't think they have power to change the federal side. But can you tell me the federal law that says that a parent that is not living with a child has to pay child support?
They use Title 4D.
Title 4D?
Yes, that's the one that says that you're supposed to pay child support and everything. It's under that, but it's a reference to Title 42, Section 666, and I can't remember the subsections. But the thing is, it's a federal code, which, again, court has ruled codes are not laws.
Right, but what you're
Statutes are
talking
not
about
laws.
right here is Title IV grants to states for aid and services to needy families with children and for child welfare services. This is off of the Social Security. This is saying grants to states, not laws or forcing child support to be paid. This is about grants, about how the federal government's supposed to be giving money over to help with children and family welfare.
Yes, I know. It's a provision that the states adopted. A provision, not a law. And the thing is that if you dig in even deeper, you'll find out that the Attorney General's Office for Child Support has a contract with the judges, with the sheriffs, and all the way up to the executive branch. Now, as I remember, under Article 1, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution, there's supposed to be separation of powers. And in the state that I am in, it states it also under Article 1 and Section 26. So state of Texas does not have a law that says parents are supposed to pay child support. So again, it's separation of powers. They're violating the law under the Constitution.
Yeah, exactly. But why are they getting away with it?
Because we allow them to, and then also other shows that I've listened to have said, well, it's the law. So again, we are accepting that they say it's a law, and that's why we're just going along with it. And again, people are standing out protesting and petitioning. You see, it's all falling right back into the same thing again, the same thing we're talking about. That's why, and it's just a vicious cycle. They keep thinking we have to do this in order to get something to change, and then nothing has changed. That's why they still, Ken Paxton has turned around and made, sit there and boast about, hey, we've made $4 or $5 billion, and this is a $50 billion industry that these people make from collecting this child support. And the 66 cents goes to the child support, and then whatever left, we'll give it to the child.
Well, here's the thing. If a parent is going to pay child support, why not send it straight to the other parent and keep records on that instead of sending it to the child support services, because they are a business. They want their funding. They want a double dip. And here's I haven't proven it. I'm going to look into it the best I can. But okay, one, they're asking for whenever the child support happens. One, you've got the child's Social Security number that they request, and most parents give it over. They use that Social Security number to get funding. For every, let's say you pay $700 to child support, that you pay $700. The Social Security number for the child is $700, and even the parent that has the child in their custody has their social security number. So each time that transaction's happening, it's $700. So that is how much? $2,100. And that's just social security number. They've got your name too, which means they've got the birth certificate bond that they're using also. I can't prove it. I will search like I can as best I can to figure out, but that is my theory. And if somebody's got proof of that, please let us know, because it is bull. Go ahead, Dave. I gotta lift my boy up.
No, that's why I have listened to Ed and everything. Again, because like I said, yes, they are doing this, and they are doing it every month. They're hitting people up for this stuff, and it's in there. I'm trying to look it up because I had it up earlier, and then my computer just so. But anyway, like I said, under their family code, it's a provision that they have adopted from the federal law and applied it, adopted it and put it in, and now they're saying it's state law. There is not a state in the United States, in all 48 states, that has a law that says you have to pay child support.
Well, there's that, and you know what? This is just my opinion, but I'm pretty sure we can figure out a way to make it stick. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, life, they can construe that since you granted life, that you gave life to the child, that you are supposed to take care of the life you gave, or that you helped create. I can see that. Liberty, as you stated, how many are in jail because they didn't pay it? Liberty's gone. Child's still free. And the pursuit of happiness. How many parents out there that are paying child support are happy when each time they do that check, or they put that money over? Not many.
None, really.
Because they are forced into it. It's not a willing thing there. Now, here's the other aspect that you look at. The state claims the children. That's one of the biggest clue. Unless you claim your own child, the state is claiming ownership of that child. So if they're going to do that, and you're paying child support, and you're not dealing with your child at all, you're just paying the child support, you're not doing visitations or anything like that, then why not just go to the state and go, hey, you're claiming ownership of the child, so why don't you pay the damn thing?
Well, also there's the contract between you and the significant other. They're supposed to tell you or play a video for you and let you know what you're getting into when you sign that contract. And that what I'm talking about is a marriage license. They didn't do that. Because if you read in the family code, it's automatically determined without any any DNA that you're automatically the father. And we do know that some stray in the marriage, and the thing is that it doesn't matter. That's why some of these people are getting caught up where the child's not even theirs, and they are getting arrested and put in jail again because nobody's done tests. Because the contract that they didn't tell you about turns around and makes you automatically the father. And because of that, people don't know. Well, you mean I was supposed to be told all this? Yeah. And what happens? Because they didn't tell you under the UCC code, turns around and says, because you do not have the full, you were not told about all the aspects of the contract, makes it null and void.
You didn't give full disclosure.
Yes. And because they don't do that, it makes that marriage license null and void. So then when you go to court, they don't tell you this. The lawyers don't tell you. The judges don't tell you. Nobody tells you. And then they turn around and force you into paying child support when they didn't even explain to you before you even signed the contract of getting married. And then like you said, then there's the birth certificate, which then if a woman can't remember what the guy's name was and she just decides to pick one, and you just happen to be the lucky person that she decided to pick because they didn't do a DNA on it, turns around, they stick child support on you. And then they turn around and have the arrears because it's been so long to find you. Now they have to go and do the arrears, which then also brings up the Social Security, because the only way they can find you is through Social Security, which then is identity theft.
It's
So you see how this keeps going?
It's a federal offense to use somebody else's security without permission.
Correct.
So yeah, you got all those aspects. Now here's the big one. Not everybody has the marriage contract. But here's even the other aspect with that whole marriage contract thing. What if, let's say, Joe Blow gets Silly Sally pregnant. They don't get married. They separate, and she doesn't want him, or he doesn't want her, or whatever. She has the child and deals the whole child support thing. So Joe Blow's paying it. He's had a future. Now he's at he's working out at McDonald's. And then all of a sudden she decides that she found love and she got married. When she's married, with that contract thing you were talking about, why doesn't the child support stop? Because when they got married, that new guy is effectively the father.
Because, again, Joe Blow, certain states don't honor the common law marriage. Others do in the state that I'm in. But then let's run with it. If they do accept it, then they figure you're old enough to know what's going on. But again, you still weren't divulged this information in divorce court. They didn't tell you anything. Well, you do know that because y'all not legally married, you're common law married. Did you know this? No. Now, the same thing like with my ex-wife.
Common law, the businesses known as this state or the state of or whatever don't have any power over living men and women. They only have power over corporations and corporate created.
Yes, but they throw everybody into the same pot.
Bingo.
Because a lot of people don't know that they, like me, prior to all this, I didn't know I was native to the land. So they throw everybody in the same thing unless you say something. And I didn't know to say something. So now, and like my ex-wife, she is remarried. And I haven't been able to see my son. Now, they do have a law, but they won't even enforce it. Most of them, you can find it under 25.03, interference with a parent-child relationship. They won't enforce that.
Now, is that a law or is that a statute code administrative rule?
More like a statute.
Bingo.
Texas got it's a statute. But like I said, they turn around and say it's law, but they won't even enforce it. Why? Because then you can turn around and go back into the courts because they're interfering with the parent-child relationship.
Bingo.
And they don't want to deal with that, so that's why they won't enforce it. But the father, their stepfather or stepmother, the reason they don't make it that child turns around and takes care of them is because they are not their bloodline.
Oh, wait. Does bloodline even matter anymore? Yes, it does. That's the issue. Now, one of the other things is the lawyers are not going to do it. They're not going to let their clients know. You've got to listen to Rod Class from last night. It was an old interview, but it has a lot of pertinent information. Effectively, the lawyer stood up in bankruptcy court and said, I can't represent my clients the way they want to be represented. I need Mr. Class here to help me, because if I inform the court of this, I will be disbarred. The judge says, yes, if you say that, you will be disbarred under Title 11 in the bar attorney thing. I'm sitting here going, there you go. The lawyer's first duty, first allegiance is to the court. It is not to the client. In fact, I even what was it? A couple weeks ago, I was showing on YouTube while Ed was talking that yes, right there, it says that they are not, they do not have any allegiance to the client. They have allegiance. Their first allegiance is to the court and to the system, and that's the big thing. That's why the judges and the lawyers will not tell about the marriage contract. Will not tell that the child support thing is nothing but a big fraud, because they all get their cut from it. And if they get caught, they'll just be like, well, you should have known, but this was a gift. And you stopped paying the gift, so we talked to you. We took you to a place so you could reconsider your gift. It's a fucking... pardon me. Like I said, I'm trying not to cuss. It is a mafia. It is a criminal organization. It's a scam. It's a pyramid scheme. I mean, you look. It's con artist. It's Congress con artist. What's the difference?
It's the same thing that Ed keeps saying. Watch, what is it, Route 66. You'll get it after you're watching it, and you
Interstate 60. Interstate 60.
Yeah, watch it, because in there it shows you. The guy says how many knew about this, and everybody that's in that courtroom raises their hand, because everybody's in on this. And exactly, that's like the clerk. Remember I told you about? I went over there. She's, oh no, you have to hire an attorney, but their first duty is to the court. Oh no, it's not. It's to you. And they tell you that so to reassure you that no, you're not making a mistake. You need to hire an attorney to do all this.
Now, here's the thing. If a clerk tells you that, be like, okay, I want a certified statement that your first duty is to the public and not to the court. When you say you want a certified statement, they will backtrack fast. But again, we are not attorneys, we are not lawyers, we are not any professionals of any kind. We are just those who have information, have learned they're not secrets, they're just stuff that has been omitted. So we have learned the stuff they're not talking about, and they don't like it. That's the reason why we don't have that many listening to us, because nobody wants to pay attention to the truth and learn that they've been duped most of their life. But we are not giving advice. We just give you the information and try to educate you. All the information we give, please research it yourself. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, David. It's just we're getting so focused on certain things. I wanted to make it clear and make sure that we do not hold any liability for anybody taking our word as law, because it's not law unless we can show you the proof, like I did with what's the definition of the public servant and the protest and the petition. Those are actual definitions. That's proof right there. So go ahead, David. I'm going to go get me something to eat.
No, I'm glad you said that, because I'd probably get myself into a sling here. But now, was it Board of Examiners versus Swimmer in 1957, Supreme Court even ruled that states cannot license anybody. So then that means that your lawyers that you go talk to, they're actually not licensed. The judges are not licensed. The doctors are not licensed. Plumbers are not licensed. Electricians are not licensed. So then what sets them, what I'm wondering is what exactly sets them apart? That they turn around and mislead us with fabrication of information, which, as I found out, that's all it was. I mean,
don't forget the clergy, my wife says, and yes, that's true. Don't forget your priests, your pastors. How are they licensed by the state?
what really gets me is where, I mean, supposedly Jesus around and preached to everybody. This stuff is not that hard to read. I mean, people can read themselves the Bible, but then it's when people turn it and put their opinion on it and twist it. Now, get this. Here is a preacher that was on the news. He says that God told him specifically that he needs a $54 million plane. Now, I find that kind of hard to believe because, I mean, didn't God say that do away with all your personal possessions and don't become materialistic and everything? But then this preacher is saying something totally opposite of what the Bible says. But he says God told him specifically that he needed a $54 million plane. Now, he gave 2 of them away, and he had a total of 3, but he gave 2 of them away, and he still got 1. But then I just can't comprehend or get my head around to where I can believe this guy. But he's got people who believe in it because he's misleaded them into believing that God told him he needs a plane.
That's exactly the issue. It's a con artist. That's what it is. Those who you find something that everybody wants to believe in or wants to listen to, and you can convince them. It's misdirection, it's lies, it's deceit. Oh, wait, sorry. I was talking about the federal government. Never mind.
Yes, they do that too. But no, the thing is that also in me, I've researched it, and it was amazing. I mean, to find out that the cross, that supposedly Jesus was not put on a cross, he was put on a stake. And the cross didn't come about until 300 years after he was crucified. Now, I know people will say, well, yeah, but I don't believe that. I know. It's the thing I was talking to a person about one time is like, why do people believe that? Because if they got to have faith and belief in something. And when you turn around and you take that away, or you tell people that they're wrong after they've grown up being taught this, it will cause mass hysteria and mass panic because people you're changing things that they don't like, and it makes them feel very uncomfortable in doing something like that. Now, probably touching a lot of nerves, but I don't mean to, but it's what I found, and if people would research stuff like that, they'd find out, because there was a preacher in the Catholic Church that was on 60 Minutes, I believe, that even said that they're using the Bible as mind control.
No, wait.
David,
hold on. Breaking news, Jesus has been cited in multiple spots down in Mexico. Going under the name of pronunciation of Jesus and also using multiple different faces. That's it. Thank you very much. All right, keep going, David.
Everybody in Mexico is called Jesus. But no, like I said, the preacher said they're using the Bible as mind control, which to me, take it for what it's worth. I mean, you take it either with a grain of salt or turn around and disbelieve it and say, oh, well, they're not a preacher. He was preacher right in the Catholic Church.
No, here's the thing you look at. The doctors, the lawyers, the preachers, all of them, the plumbers, everything like that. Um, well, you said they cannot be certified. Now, okay, the state can't certify them, but I know a lot of plumbers that, like plumbers, they do a certain amount of stuff, and it's not they're certified as plumbers. They're certified that they know what they're doing. Therefore, they can use their state approved, basically. Now, with who decides if, let's say, a preacher is going to be certified? Who decides it? Oh, the others that are in the same field that have their own agendas that decide what is going to be talked about. I mean, you go in there talking about how you're going to be a preacher, you're going to go to the Lutheran church over here, and you're up at the board saying, okay, yeah, I'm going to be a preacher, I know all about the Bible, and I'm going to do this. And they'll be like, okay, great, well, what kind of stuff are you going to be talking about? Then you start talking about how, well, Jesus probably, Mary Magdalene, probably had children with Mary Magdalene. Also that, well, Jesus was the high priest of a coven, considering a witch's coven is 12 disciples or 12 others with a high priest, aka Jesus. 12 disciples and Jesus. That's a coven. I mean, you start talking about stuff like that, all of a sudden people are like, nope, you're not getting certified. You do not get your license. You are not preaching any. Why not? Because, like you said, mind control. Same thing with the plumbing, and heck, I was actually learning to become a home inspector. Because, walk in, make sure everything's within certain regulations and stuff. I was thinking I could do 2-3 homes a week and actually have a good income coming in. And then, of course, I met Ed and found out, oh, that's statute, codes, administrative rules, and basically it's bull. I'm not gonna defraud living men or women because I would rather be more honest. And the thing is, I'm supposed to be in the background, but thanks to Ed taking his vacation, I got a little bit more into the foreground. Does anybody else have anything to put in to any of these discussions we've talked about, or even stuff we haven't talked about? Tax fraud, the identity theft, or the flag. I mean, when you turn the flag upside down, it's in the code, the flag code, where that is a nation in distress or immediate loss of life, imminent kind of thing. These are real codes in there, but everybody flips out if you turn the flag upside down. Why? That's disrespectful. Why? Because I learned that in school. Oh, really? School? You mean the mind-washing institution? And that's why the federal and state governments are saying we don't want homeschool. Why? Because homeschooled children are usually very intelligent and they know what's really happening. And they know what to really do instead of just blindly follow like a whole bunch of sheeple out there. So I'm going to shut up. Anybody else want to talk? Go ahead. Now, Ed, if you're listening to this, you see how I did at least 30 seconds letting somebody else decide if they wanted to talk or not instead of, anybody else want to talk, I'll let you. Okay, nobody's talking. Well, I guess I'll keep on going. That's the Ed move right there, guys. Or, I'm going to open up the floor, but I'm going to say this and this and this, and 10 minutes later, well, Floor's still not open. Patience. But I'm thinking that we've been on for an hour, and this is going to be one of the very, very rare times I'm on and talking a whole bunch. So if anybody else has anything to say before we close out, I was thinking about, yeah, just closing out soon. Okay, it appears everybody's quiet. Bristol, David, are you actually upset with me and anything? Because you usually are talking.
No, I'm not upset at all. In
Oh,
fact,
okay.
this is therapeutic.
Well, whenever I opened up the mic, I was like, okay, I thought he would jump in and say a few things. No. But no, thank you for listening to Education by Ed. It was more of a education by everybody that was willing to talk. Thank you for coming in and listening. As Ed says, may the Grace Spirit guide you, and may Mother Earth care for you. And if you have a belief, it is your belief. You do not have a right to push it down other people's throats or tell people they have to believe what you believe. And again, anything said on this show, if you do not agree with it, guess what? Research, learn yourself, find the proof yourself. And if we're wrong on something, let us know. And when we know, we will correct. I will make sure Ed will eat crow and correct himself. Now, to any ladies that are listening, Ed hates it when ladies correct him and have proof of the correction. He really hates it. So I say, ladies, go into your books and go like crazy. Do some research on stuff Ed has said and see if he's telling facts or if you can prove him wrong. But dig as deep as you can, because Ed has got a lot of research in almost every subject. Almost every subject that he talks about, he goes really deep, and he goes even into non-copyright statute codes and administrative rules. The copyrighted ones are the ones that are very public, because they know you can't use them without their permission. So, with that, it is currently Sunday, June 3rd, 2018. It is 6:10 Pacific Standard Time. And I do thank you for listening. And hopefully you will not hear me talk this much in the future. It's exhausting. Ed's more built for that. Me, I like the background. So, y'all have a good night. And we will see you next Saturday, where Ed will actually be off of his vacation and he'll have some stuff to talk about. Thank you very much.